Hello there everybody, this is Alex from Hardcoring Guides, bringing you my guide for God of War Chains of Olympus on God difficulty. Today we're doing part 3 entitled The Temple of Helios. And I think at first I thought that this was still part of part 2. Like I still thought this was part of the whole like Cliffs of Marathon stuff. But I think this entire section is just... Yeah, I believe this is the entirety of it. Because, like, we're still here in, like, this, fog, Morpheus type section. So I kind of just consider this somewhat still part of that last area. Because according to IGN, where I get my level names from here, I know, it's weird, but I got to get them from somewhere. It says, the Steed Shrine is basically the beginning part of the Temple of Helios. And that's pretty much not kind of where we're at right now. But anyway, focusing on combat here, because that's essentially what we need to be doing. You're going to have, a couple of archers spawn in. They're going to have, like, the saber-tooth guy spawn in. And, of course, something I might have mentioned last time. I don't remember if I mentioned this before or not. But the finisher combo, especially if you have, like, level 3 blades or whatever, at the point when you can finally do the triple attack, I just noticed that there's something that popped out there. Actually, maybe this is the steeds, because there's the horses statues. I think they popped in. That's what I meant to say. Anyway, the triple combo, like the triangle-triangle-square combo, is a pretty good move to kind of just knock the enemy back, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, as you can see, like there, which I kind of forgot that sometimes it doesn't always work, but hey, still pretty good to have, pretty good combo to kind of run with, especially for those guys, but don't try to attack more than you need to. Like, if you see him start to kind of, like, move backwards, like he's starting to get ready to pounce, that's a good sign. You should probably just go for the block. And then if your timing is right, and at least better than mine was, because I kept thinking like the whole parry was not going to be unlocked until after you level up the shield, which that's true. You don't unlock the parry until after you level it up. However, you can still get the block function from it. Like, you can still get that extra little bit of like that, I don't know what you'd call it, but like that little knockback thing to it whenever like enemies attack you. And you shield at the right time, or in this case, block at the right time. If you block at the right time, then it does actually stop the enemies from, well, continuing to attack, of course. So there's that. Let me think here. I did actually end up fast-forwarding a couple of sections of this particular level, only because there was a couple of sections that I find are incredibly long and incredibly tedious and incredibly boring to have to sit through. One of them being, of course, the sun puzzle, and that's the 4 statues, if for those that are wondering. And I say sun puzzle because essentially we're doing Helios puzzle type stuff, which I like the Temple of Helios. I don't think it's a bad temple. It's just that it has a couple of puzzle rooms that I'm just not really fond of. But luckily, when it comes to God of War, I think most of the worst puzzles are basically just here in Helios. And to be honest, most of Helios is relatively fun anyway, so it's not really like a big deal. But like this puzzle, for instance, is fine. It's the 4-horse thing that kind of pisses me off, and it takes forever. But I will still, of course, be showing how to do it, but I'm going to be fast-forwarding to that entire section. And there's like another section that comes up later that I fast-forward through, and I don't remember why. So yeah, we got 20 whole minutes of sitting here watching me talk about Chains of Olympus. I know I do this all the time, when it comes to guide stuff. Like, I'm used to doing commentary. But the truth is, right now, I kind of just don't really feel like in the mood. I just feel like I need to get this out there because it's been like a week or two since I've actually done an episode. Now, don't let that, take away from your enjoyment or whatever. If all because I'm not having like the best of times, because I'd rather be playing the game, to be honest. Which, by the way, I will be playing the game tomorrow. Hopefully, I will be actually doing a live stream of it, of Chains of Olympus. We're finally at Chains. We did God of War 1 and 2. So if you're curious, by tomorrow I mean Friday, June 30th, because it's not July yet. So I do plan on doing Chains, hopefully, on Friday, but who knows? But yeah, I will be playing it on God mode, and I honestly feel like Chains is definitely one of those games that I'd rather just play than watch. But then again, that kind of comes with a lot of them. But the other thing to keep in mind too is I definitely don't want to ruin other people's enjoyment just because, you know, I've already gone through all this. I've seen it all. I've done it all. And I'm going to do it all again. You know, I'm going to continue playing this game all the time. And then, of course, playing on a god. So I know all the tricks and traps. But that's the thing, too, is, like, not everyone might not, you know that or whatever. Or might know that. Sorry, I can't speak. And on top of that, maybe people are here just to listen to me, you know, gripe or yell about who knows what. Which I think this is probably a pretty good episode to kind of do that with, mainly because there's not a lot that happens in Temple of Helios in terms of combat. And for the most part, in my opinion, I feel like what people struggle with the most, like when it comes to hard mode itself, is typically the combat, not necessarily the puzzles. Because I feel like puzzles, depending on the game, if it's Silent Hill, then yeah, they change the puzzles. But if it's, which you know, that's a thing where you can kind of, you know, make the puzzles and the combat their own separate thing, which is cool as shit, but, you know, just saying. Now, will I ever do a Silent Hill game? I don't know. Like, I've considered it, but, like, I'm not really good enough at Silent Hills or consider myself a good guide for Silent Hill, so maybe not. I don't know. I've only really ever, like, I haven't really ever truly beaten most of them. I've only really beaten, like, Homecoming and 1, so I know that's lame, but I've gotten pretty good amount of 2 in. You know, I like 2 a lot, but you know, I always end up sucking dick at it. So, but that's just the thing. You know, I'm maybe good at some games, but I'm not good at everything. Same thing with Silent Hill 3. Like, Jesus Christ, I suck major ass at Silent Hill 3. I'm terrible, and I wish I had a copy of The Room, which I did actually find one. I did find a physical copy, but then I turned it down. I didn't buy it because I remember it being a little bit expensive. And at the time, I was going to go buy WarioWare for the GameCube, which was actually surprisingly not as expensive as I thought. But that same day, that same fucking store I went to find some games, I was just like, I wonder what they have. And then I found out that, like, they had fucking WarioWare for GameCube for like $70, and I'm like, that's a goddamn steal right there. That's, realistically speaking, that's kind of like a goddamn steal if you think about it, because, like, in my opinion, I feel like the GameCube version of WarioWare, especially being multiplayer, which is what I basically bought it for, you would think would probably be way more expensive just for the sake of, you know, being a relatively, I would assume it may be rare game, but it's really not. Speaking of rare games, the one thing I'm really freaking pissed off at, and by the way, there's nothing that goes on here. We just do a lot of swimming and a lot of chest picking up. And of course, I'm going to, this is the part I'm going to fast forward, actually. This part and the puzzle part. So, yeah, we're going to fast forward through all the swimming crap because I get tired of watching myself swim and it takes forever for Kratos to actually open up the damn chest. And I'm going to have to deal with that shit on my stream, of course, but that's once again neither here nor there. But yeah, the one thing that I've regretted a lot of things in my life, but the one major thing in terms of gaming that I regret is there was one time when I found a copy of Path of Radiance, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance for $60. Yeah, no lie. This was, I don't know how long ago, like 5-6 years ago, something like that. It was a while ago. And I didn't pick it up. And now it's $400 plus for, like, you know, like on Amazon and all the other shit. And I'm still a little pissed, a little bit peeved to this day. And, you know, I don't know if people might watch this or not, but if you want to know the reason why I didn't pick it up, let's give the honest truth, because I tend to hold grudges toward everything, so that's just how I am. My friend had told me I would not like the game. I said, oh, okay, well, alright, well, if I probably won't like it, then alright. I think at the time I might have actually played 7 and thought it was neat, but I wasn't really into tactics. So I guess he assumed that I probably would just not want to play it because it's a tactics game. Or maybe I also assumed that maybe he thought I was too stupid to play tactics games. I don't know. But there you go. The cat's out of the bag. So that's the reason why, because I literally got told I wouldn't like it. And so I decided to say, well, why bother trying it if I'm not going to like it? Which was a stupid mistake. And I regret it ever since, considering the fact that I've heard that's actually one of the best ones of the franchise. But I do like 7 a lot. Anyway, so now we're going to have to deal with the Minotaur. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm being quite silly. The Minotaur, one by itself is not what I would consider hard. It's when they get to the point when you get to the Tower of Persephone is when they become ridiculous to fight. So Minotaurs, and we're not going to get to see much of it here because he doesn't do much. And that's the thing with them, is they don't do much. They have like a swing attack that they do like twice. It's relatively telegraphed. Now, the headbutt move is probably one of the more dangerous moves to kind of be careful of. Only because like if you're that close to him, he's going to activate that headbutt move like 80% of the time. Mainly like this Minotaur specifically. And if you get too far away, he'll do a charge attack. And I didn't get to show it off here because, well, I didn't get him to charge at me. But later on in the game, there's going to come a point where we're going to be fighting more Minotaurs, and we'll definitely get to see me utilize what I call a quote-unquote pro strat in beating out the charge bullshit, and that is basically jumping over them while they charge toward you, because you can kind of get away with it. Kind of. Also, in terms of other things that are kind of embarrassing, I guess I can tell you guys about this. So this goddess right here, I think her name was like Aeon or something like that. Or Eos, whatever it was. Anyway, when I was younger, I remember having a little thing for her because she had her boobies, and I was like, ooh. So, look, when you're like a relatively youngish lad, and you're playing God of War Chains of Olympus on your PSP, and you kind of see boobies, and you kind of think to yourself, damn, okay. Like, not even if they're not like high quality, it didn't matter to me. It was like, oh, I get to see boobs. Nice. But yeah, so back on my little tangent. But yeah, I did actually like play a tad bit of FE7 at one point, but then it was just like a small bit, and I thought it was neat, but I wasn't into tactics stuff like I just said. And then now Nintendo had released a, with the Virtual Boy, what? No, with the Virtual Console Game Boy for Switch, which I don't like the idea of everything being... Oh yeah, by the way, you can pair those shield things now. Well, I mean, I think I showed that before, but yeah, you can do that. So use that to your advantage. These guys just become kind of nothing at this point unless they group up on you. So yeah, now we have the Game Boy Online thing, which I would rather have it just be like, just let me buy the fucking games, I'm curious if you guys probably think the same way I do. But I'm not going to be one of those types of YouTubers. I'm not going to like tell you like, oh yeah, write me some comment. You could do that if you want. Like that's up to you. I'm not going to tell you to do it. Do what you want, of course. But if you guys want to, tell me if you agree or not, I'd love to hear that. But yeah, I personally would rather just have the ability to buy the Virtual Console games and not necessarily buy or an online thing. Also with this, timing, of course, is key. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's one of those things, like, I assume if you're playing on God mode, you've probably already gotten this kind of down in the back. These guys take about 2 shots to kill with the fireball attack. You can also throw the parry. You can also parry the fireball back. You should be able to, because now we have the new parryable projectile move, but not the actual parry itself. And also, real quick, fun little pro tip, I guess. If you want to get to the other side of this area faster, just go through the middle. Don't do what I did. Like, go back out to the right where that door is, and just go that way and go completely around. And then you can just kind of avoid doing this entire mess. I think it's faster, but probably like a few seconds. And something else I just got completely reminded of, just out of nowhere. So, Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon, is coming to Switch, and it's finally getting an actual port. And I'm so excited, because I don't think the game's bad. I just didn't really like playing on my 3DS. I thought it was kind of annoying. But it's nice to finally see it come, too. And I've mentioned this for about a couple of years now, where I kept saying, like, oh, I want to do Luigi's Mansion 3, A rank guide. Well, now with Dark Moon kind of coming out, finally on a console that I could record on, which I don't have a capture card for 3DS, so I do apologize for that. Also, yeah, I think I did upgrade. Or maybe it does come with parry. No, either way, get the Sun Shield to have the parry mechanic, and then that makes your life way easier. Trust me. And the square parry is your friend, especially toward these guys, and just relatively anybody. Unless you're fighting those big dudes that have like armor and stuff, then triangle will be your friend for that one. Also, ignore the funny little hold square thing I do. I don't know what happened or why I kept holding square for. It wasn't like I was trying to be flashy or fancy. It just ended up happening a lot of the time. I think I was mashing square too early or too hard or too much or whatever, and it just ended up making me hold square, which is kind of just a an okay move, but I never really use it for anything. Another fun little pro strat. If you want to get to the side fast without having to, both having the ability to visibly see where you're going toward the direction you need to go, and on top of that, not having to be fully underwater, just like slightly dive underwater, and then you could just boost through, and there you go. What else was I going to mention? Yeah, so Dark Moon is coming out, so I'm thinking about, like, if that comes out this year, which I think it does, if I'm able to, I would like to get that game and possibly A-rank guide that one. So that way I can kind of have the perfectionist mind of, well, I did 1, now I can do 2, now I can do 3. And in terms of other games that I, strangely enough, want to kind of go against the grain, is actually Kingdom Hearts. I've thought about it a lot, and I'm still continuing to think about it, and I might even do it this year. I don't know. We'll see. I have considered doing possibly, maybe even Kingdom Hearts 2 in the future. Now, why won't I do Chains? I mean, I don't think Chains is bad. I just don't want to do Chains. I'm thinking about, like, I'm personally more so wanting to just mainly do the mainline games. Like, I know the spin-offs have some canonicity or canonical stories to them and what have you. Like, I understand that they have story value, and they are all a part of the same thing, and they're all technically mainline games, but I mainly want to focus on doing the numbered games personally instead. So now, does that mean I will probably never do Chains or never do, Dream Drop or anything like that? That does not mean that I won't. It just means that as of right now, I would personally rather just play 1 to 2 to 3. Well, actually, more so 1 to 2 to 2, because 2 has Proud Mode and Critical Mode. And yeah, I know I'm a loser for playing Kingdom Hearts, but it's 2023 at this point. I don't think anybody gives a shit anymore. There's a big thing back when I was in school, but not anymore, when everybody hated on people for playing Kingdom Hearts. And yes, for those that might not be in the know, or might not even be old enough for it, yeah, Kingdom Hearts was hated on pretty wildly, a little bit. I don't know why I just said that in such a stupid, hypocritical way. It's either one or the other, dumbass. It's either like it's lightly made fun of or it was heavily made fun of. I don't know, it was kind of like a in-between, I guess. Like, I would hear a lot of people shit on it. Even I was shitting on it too, because I didn't understand, the actual genuine complexity. Well, it's not super complex, but it has a lot of really good mechanics. It's got a lot of deep stuff to it that, if you look past the silliness and the goofiness of it and like the sort of child-friendly aspect of it, you really kind of find a hidden gem underneath all that rubble. It's crazy. If you just allow yourself to just play a game regardless of it making you look cringy, then you can find a lot of good stuff. So, don't hate, just masturbate. I don't know. I got nothing really to say here. We're just fighting harpies, so this shit kind of sucks. Also, in terms of other things, I mentioned this before, but I personally wouldn't mind trying to take on the helm of doing Pikmin 3 myself. There is a difficulty mode in Pikmin 3, which is, I think, ultra spicy, but what I'm basically referring to is the no death run. Now, I don't know exactly how to do a no death run personally, but the thing is, I don't have any reliable source for playing that. I have the game, I'm just talking about, like, I wouldn't be able to get my friend to do it. Let's just say that, because, yeah. There ain't no way, I'm not gonna jump down that rabbit hole again and let him, let something else get kind of fucked. And I'm not taking that risk, is what I'm trying to say. That's a risk. So, I think I would rather just try to take it on myself, and it'll probably bite me in the ass. It probably will bite me in the ass, but for those that are, are genuinely interested in the Pikmin series, like I kind of am, that there's that for you. But speaking of Pikmin, I did actually buy the bundle, and I enjoyed the shit out of it too, though. I think it's a lot better than 1, personally speaking, but I haven't really beaten much. Sorry, again, there's like not a lot going on in Helios. I've said this like 4 or 5 times. You guys are probably getting annoyed with it, but yeah. Nothing really happens in Helios section besides just mostly kind of like some fights, and then every once in a while, or pretty much almost all the time, puzzles. So I ain't got really much to talk about, but yeah. Yeah, actually, something that's interesting about this is these berserker guys. I don't know what they're actually calling. They're just calling berserkers. The thing with these guys is that they tend to die pretty damn fast, especially when it comes to parry. Something else I kind of want to talk about real fast, just to get out of the way. Another reason why I don't really want to have my friend handle Pikmin 3. There's tons of reasons, but one of the main reasons now is because he's more of like a, you know, he's a streamer type guy now, I guess. So I don't think him doing videos will probably ever happen again, if I had to guess, unless it's some sort of like co-op stuff or even possibly Voz on his own stuff. I think he's moved away from the video type things, which, you know, I don't blame him, really. I'm not going to say that I do, so. I sound mean, but I'm not trying to mean it like that way. I'm just saying, like, you know, he's doing a new thing now, so let that just be that. Let bygones be bygones and, you know, let things do their things, right? I guess you could say. Yeah, this fucking puzzle sucks. I used to have a better way of doing it, because, like, I know if you actually open up, like, a certain one after a certain other one, then it does all its things, but, yeah. So, awesome. But, yeah, I wouldn't mind maybe possibly trying to just doing 3 and maybe, I don't know. But that's going to take a lot of brain power and willpower to actually be able to do that, because I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know. I'm not the smartest when it comes to that, but I kind of lost the person who was to do that, so. You know, I'm just putting out there truthfully. That I'm just being as blatantly honest as I possibly can to you guys. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm just saying blatantly straight up that, yeah, we might not get to see that for a while. So, depends. You know, things change. People change all the time, right? That's enough of bullshitting about things. And now I gotta talk about this game again, I guess. So, now we're gonna go into this little area. There's gonna be like a couple of places you can kind of go check out. There might even just be one. I don't really remember off the top of my head. There was actually more than like one little section you can go to. Yes, there was. Okay. Because like this is a whole brand new section, so I would have assumed that most likely we can just get our hands on things. But coolio. Yeah, next part will be a lot more entertaining, at least in some regard, because that's where we're going to Hades, and we're going to be doing all of that shit. Now, I don't remember... Okay, I remember now. I do like Hades first, and then I remember stopping the video at Tartarus. And Tartarus is going to kick... Well, it might kick your ass. I don't know how good your guy's skill level is, of course. But, like, for me, it kicked my ass a little bit. So, you get to see a little bit of that fun stuff. Tartarus is a little hard. That's when I start to think, like, the game starts to kind of ramp up in difficulty just a little bit. However, I don't think it truly ramps up until you get to, like, the very last area. Which is essentially, like, the Persephone stuff, which... Yes, yeah, literally. The Temple of Persephone is, like, literally, like, the last-ish after Charon. Which is also inside Tartarus. So, Tartarus is a fun level, but Jesus Christ, can it get kind of just irritating, especially in the beginning part. Man, it's fucking brutal. But I'll show you guys how I handle it. I kind of cheese out the guys when I get there, but you'll see what I mean when we get to that. All that stuff. But, you know, back to puzzle solving once again, which realistically is not that big of a puzzle. Actually, I think this is probably one of the more fun things to do, is like these small little statue sections. I don't think they're that bad. And I actually kind of don't mind the sun. I call them sundials. I don't know why. I think I call it that because it's Helios with the sun, and then you have to brighten it up, and then you have like a shield that's kind of like a circle. And I swear to God, I'm getting deja vu because I'm thinking like I mentioned this before, but I might have talked about that myself while playing the game. Because I tend to do this thing where while I'm playing the game, I'm kind of thinking of my guide later on. I'm like, oh, I should talk about this in the guide. Oh, I should talk about this in the guide. You know, or I could talk about this part. And then, like, I don't talk about it because, you know, weeks go by without a video. And then I finally do a video. I'm like, wait a minute, what the I could have sworn I talked about this before. And it's like, no, you never did because you just now did. Like, this is realistic. That's the problem with me is I have a huge issue with predicting things and trying to Sorry. Trying to figure out what people are going to say next, and it's sometimes it's hell. Sometimes it's annoying, because sometimes it does come true, and it's like, well, I already fucking figured that out, so why would I bother? And it kind of does ruin a lot of my tendencies to want to hang out with some people, because like sometimes you kind of think to yourself, well, if I hang out with this person, I know they're going to say this, and then they do say that, and you're like, well, I was fucking right. Look, guys, I'm probably autistic or something. I don't know for sure. You know, I'm not meaning that in a mean way. I'm meaning that like in a genuine sense of like, I might have it. I don't know. I have weird problems. But anyway, so yeah, these guys, they can be taken out relatively simply now because we have the parry. So, realistically speaking, these guys are essentially just nothing. And if they become too troublesome, of course you can just do the parry into triangle to kind of just knock them up in the air, and they just become blatantly, well, again, nothing. They kind of can't do much when they're in the air, and they just kind of suck at everything they do. Actually, no, speaking of my friend, this might sound like a weird idea. Maybe, I know it's kind of late at night, but maybe I could probably ask him if he would want to crash race out of nowhere. Because I was thinking, like, maybe after this video I could just play Crash, and maybe I can probably get him to play it. So we did do it once, and then I like a pussy, I quit out because I was playing the original Crash 1. I know, hardcorean. I know. I typically try to make myself not a quitter, but sometimes things just get too fucking outrageous and annoying. So I give up. But I do sometimes come back. So. Anyway, yeah, next section, of course, you know, more Gorgons to fight. And at this point in time, again, you know, I'm going to say it for like a good portion of like at least these beginning sections, especially the Morpheus type enemies. Parry is going to be a big help to a lot of this combat, and just a lot of future combat endeavors to an extent. At least throughout Hades, I would say. And then it starts to kind of die off near like Tartarus. No pun, I guess, because, you know, die off. But, yeah, like, I'd say, like, around the time when Tartarus kind of shows up is probably when it starts to kind of just kind of weaken a little bit. Only in the fact that, you know, enemies in Tartarus are a lot more aggressive and they're a lot more tankier, and then you get to Persephone and it's just a total nightmare because there's just so many damn enemies that are just a constant annoyance, and then you have all these guys that are big enemies that are there, and you got armored Cyclopses and armored Minotaurs, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I know, it's bedazzling how absolutely just insane that they are. But yeah, alright, on to the Helios chariot, and then away we go, and then we're going to land at Hades, and then we're going to do Hades next. So, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. We'll play some more God of War, Chains of Olympus. So as always, take care, everybody.